All right, it's happening again. The articles are coming out, and they're using plot hole wrong. We're gonna do this. We're gonna take this article and we're gonna go live, at least as I'm filming this, through the article, and we're gonna debunk everything, because this just has to stop. All of these articles, I don't know what writers they are hiring or who they're paying to write these articles. They're mainly just writing articles to have articles out. But they are using the words plot hole and retcon incorrectly, leading fans to have certain takes that are just based on incorrect information. So I have the article right here. We're going to go through this live. Right here on Screen Rant. 10 plot holes in the Disney Plus's Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Sure. The first one is it's not the Jedi Way. In the first episode, Star Wars fans were introduced to a Jedi named Nari, who exposes his identity to the Inquisitors, running to Obi-Wan for help. Obi-Wan promptly turns him away, which is uncharacteristic of him, who has upheld the Jedi Code for many years, except the Jedi Order is no longer around. While this scene could be accredited to the fact that Obi-Wan had hidden his identity in a cave for many years and gave up the Jedi ways, it still does not explain why. It does explain why. He is in hiding. His duty is to protect and watch over Luke. If he exposes himself, he risks exposing Luke's location and just the existence of Luke in general. If Obi-Wan had truly given up his ways, he would agree to train Luke down the road. He does agree to train Luke, and that's after the arc that he goes through in the show. And that's after Owen has come to accept Obi-Wan as a small part of Luke's life. But of course, that's the point of the start of the show. It's to show Obi-Wan at his lowest point. Next, Riva and her powers. It was revealed that Riva Savander was in fact a youngling who survived Darth Vader's rage during Order 66. That said, Riva is one of the series' characters who is force sensitive. During her time on Tatooine, Riva's main objective is to search for a hidden Jedi and go so far as to use violence to get what she wants. In a confrontation with Owen, Riva threatens him, but he remains strong and does not give Riva any information regarding the Jedi. It doesn't make sense, however, that she would not use the Force to her advantage to search through Owen's mind during her confrontation with him. Bafflingly, in a later episode, Riva tries to apply the mind tricks on Leia. Hence, it would have saved a lot of trouble and time if she had used it on Owen early on, especially if she was capable of it. So, if we go back to the scene and we pay attention, Riva is trying to intimidate the town square using fear tactics and fear-mongering, cutting off someone's hand, trying to intimidate Owen to say something of his own volition. Could she have used a mind trick? Yes. Was she probably on her way to using it? Yes. Until the fifth brother stopped her. The fact that Riva did not use the method with which you expected is not a plot hole. And I feel like before I move on, I should explain briefly what a plot hole is. A plot hole is basically like if you go from one movie and saying this person is 5 years old, and then you go to another movie that takes place 10 years later and say that person's 13. Math doesn't math. Moving on, he served her father in the Clone Wars. This is something that me and Darth Choco addressed in an earlier Dyad Reacts, Dyad Explains video. Of course, this is about Leia's message to Obi-Wan in A New Hope. Basically, the short answer is she is trying to be as covert as possible, not trying to name names, not trying to incriminate Bail Organa, and not trying to even name herself in the message. She is being as ambiguous with her message as possible so that in the event that the message is intercepted, none of it can be traced back to any singular person other than General Kenobi. And we now know from this show that everyone knows that Obi-Wan is alive. So in a sense, the show has enhanced that message. Next one is Leia as bait. In the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, Riva uses Leia as bait to lure Obi-Wan quite literally out of his cave. As a result, Obi-Wan is forced to resist the ways of the Jedi, become attuned to the Force, and faces complicated history. What is confusing is that Vader and the Empire could have used Leia again as bait in the future, but chose not to. The next time he used Leia is Okay, so here's the deal. They took Leia to lure Obi-Wan Kenobi out. They didn't know about their certain connection, right? They didn't know about their personal relationship. As to this statement, what is confusing is that Vader and the Empire could have used Leia again as bait in the future, but chose not to. She was part of the Senate. And yes, during that time, the Senate is still active. They're not going to kidnap a Senate member and light a signal flare under their butts and draw attention to their activities. Now, thanks to the Battle of Scarif in Rogue One, we know that Leia was in possession of the Death Star plans, and we know that Vader was in fact on her tail. So when she's caught in the middle of A New Hope, it's basically red-handed, and that's why they are able to apprehend her at that time. The Force is strong. Both Luke and Leia were born into the Skywalker name. When all hope seemed to be lost for Luke after he became reckless during his training with Yoda, Yoda tells us, unknowing Obi-Wan, that there is another, implying that there is another Jedi besides Luke. Obi-Wan should have known this detail in the original series, as he helped deliver both babies in the prequels. Even if Obi-Wan had somehow forgotten about Leia's birth, the Obi-Wan Kenobi events should have jogged his memory. However, it doesn't seem to cross Obi-Wan's mind that Leia, Luke's twin, is also strong with the Force. Okay, what does that even, that's not a plot hole, that's just Obi-Wan choosing to train Luke. He already knows that Leia has plans for herself. Leia is also already part of the Rebel Alliance, so she's already making moves of her own to fight back. So Obi-Wan's not concerned about what Leia's doing. Leia's already making moves. And if anything, this is a plot hole that has existed since the original trilogy and has nothing to do with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. In fact, it has existed since the prequel trilogy too, since you said it, he was there during the birth of Leia. But how I reconcile it is that I think Obi-Wan truly thought that Luke was the chosen one. He says as much to Maul. Leia's Force abilities. It remains a mystery throughout the show that neither Obi-Wan, Vader, nor Riva sensed that Leia was Force sensitive. The concept of showing was introduced early on in the series when Uncle Ben states that Obi-Wan only cares if Luke is showing. It is confirmed that Obi-Wan still has enough knowledge of the Force to know when Luke is showing, but it is then confusing when he spends the entire series with Leia and doesn't observe the same powers. Throughout the series, Leia is reading emotions, targeting memories, something only a Jedi can do. No, that's not something only a Jedi can do. Are you kidding me? So it does not make sense that Obi-Wan, Riva, and Vader do not sense this. It does make sense, because perhaps she's not showing. When Riva is probing her mind and she shows a strength of resistance, that is not automatically or inherently a Force ability. Take, for example, mind tricks. They only work on the weak-minded. If you try to do a mind trick against someone like Watto, it's not going to work. Does that mean that Watto is showing Force sensitivity? No. The easiest answer to this is that Leia is strong-willed and strong-minded, and showed a natural resistance to the probe. Now, she didn't probe back like Rey did in The Force Awakens, which would have been a clear sign, so debunked. How old are you? In Obi-Wan Kenobi's Part 2, Leia and Obi-Wan are attempting to escape Daiyu without drawing attention to themselves. After a series of questions from Leia, which seems more like Obi-Wan's interrogation than anything else, Obi-Wan proceeds to ask Leia, "How old are you?" To which she responds with her age. It is not one of Obi-Wan's wisest moments. Unless Obi-Wan forgot that Leia was the twin of Luke during the hectic escape, there is no logical explanation why. Gosh. Are you guys seriously positing that Obi-Wan actually forgot her age? This is one of those playful questions you ask. You are wise beyond your years. You're more mature than you seem. How old are you? It's basically him acknowledging that Leia is not acting her age. It's that simple. The flames. In the shows, this is obviously going to refer to Darth Vader leaving Obi-Wan in the fire and letting him escape. I really wish you guys would start watching the episodes and paying attention, because this was the moment that Vader said that he would make Obi-Wan suffer as he did. And that doesn't mean giving him the easy way out and killing him right then and there. That was the start of his suffering. This is just the beginning, as Vader says. Riva striking at the worst time. Part 5 contains, even though Vader was alone, this was not the best moment to strike. Okay. These aren't plot holes. I didn't have a chance to read all of these beforehand, but as soon as I started reading from the first item, I knew they were using plot hole incorrectly. This one about Riva not striking Vader at the right time or the most opportune time, that is not a plot hole. That is just, hey, I would have done things differently. And that's okay. You can disagree with story decisions and you can disagree with how something is executed, but that's not a plot hole. That's not something you go on a public website and publish an article on and say, this is a plot hole because Riva should have chose a better time to strike. I don't know. I am really tired. well, I'm just tired in general. I'm really tired of these articles by these supposed writers who, you know, claim to know something about Star Wars, or claim to know something about plot holes, about retcons, about these terms that mean something in film and TV, but always use them incorrectly. And please, if you're reading articles like these, I urge you to do your due diligence, find the source, or even be critical about what you're reading. Don't always, accept it right away. As you can tell, none of these are plot holes. Plot holes are things that do not line up with previously established fact, like one movie he's 5 and then 10 years later he's 13. Math doesn't math. That's a plot hole. If something happens that you didn't expect, or you expected something to happen and it didn't, that's not a plot hole. I'm probably just gonna keep doing stuff like this because the more and more that articles come out that are just blatantly wrong, the more I realize the reason why most of the fans that operate off of misinformation and aren't used to being critical about articles they read, they'll come onto my videos and comment, hey, what about this plot hole? And it's not a plot hole. Gaps of information aren't plot holes either. Gaps of information are just gaps of information. You might get the story later on where, you know, you find out what happened in between, but those are just gaps, not plot holes. Anyways, for a general rule of thumb, I would highly, advise against Screen Rant, Bounding into Comics, Inside the Magic, any of these articles that have really, really clickbaity titles. If you read an article and you're like, what? It's probably not a good article. Anyways, that'll do it for this quick little video. Is it quick? I'm not sure. That'll do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, and if I helped you out, subscribe. Hit the bell icon to turn on notifications. Thank you to channel members, Dyad Squadron, without which we cannot continue to do this every week. But as always, this is the end. On to the next one, where light and life, we are all the Republic, and may the Force be with you.